Episode 11, Saturday Night Thunder.
Saturday evenings in Barton County always had a rhythm. Radios crackled from porches half-tuned to stations that faded in and out. Lawnmowers clicked as they cooled in open garages. The smell of fresh-cut grass still sharp in the air. Somebody 3 blocks away was grilling pork chops, and the smoke drifted like an invitation. But Frank's place wasn't humming the same tune tonight. The garage wasn't a hangout, wasn't a card table, wasn't even a makeshift bar. Tonight, it was a pit stop. Frank sat in his lawn chair, cooler planted firm between his boots. The plastic creaked every time he shifted, but he didn't move much, just leaned forward, elbows on his knees, staring at the mower like it held the answers. The cooler was already sweating, cans stacked neat like soldiers. Hudson crept into frame, phone camera angled at the garage. His whisper carried the weight of a newscaster breaking a big story. Episode 11. Tonight, we leave home base. Destination, Barton County Speedway. Ricky strutted in, shirtless, as always, his flag tattoo catching the porch light. He slapped the cooler lid with a thud. Track beer tastes better than garage beer. Been saying it for years. Frank raised one brow. You also said gas station pizza was gourmet. Depends on the gas station. Ricky fired back with a grin. Harry came out next, mason jar in hand, moving at a steady, deliberate pace. He eased himself onto the stoop with the quiet of a man who'd done it 1,000 times. A smirk tugged at his lip. Track beer's just regular beer with dust in it. But dust don't hurt. Adds character. Besides, he sipped. Nothing wrong with the night at the races. Diane appeared last, cigarette already lit, purse strapped tight to her shoulder. Her sigh came out in smoke. I don't know why I agreed to this. Dust, drunks, and bathrooms longer than sermons. Frank smirked. Sounds like a Saturday night in this garage. Shut up, Frank. Diane snaps back. The siding rattled as Doug semi-rumbled into the driveway, horn blasting 2 long notes like a thunderclap. He swung the door open. Cowboy hat, too big, grinning wide. Evening phages. Who's ready for thunder? Harry chuckled low. Finally, something louder than Ricky. They piled into Doug's truck, the cooler wedged tight between boots and elbows. Ricky sang half a Toby Keith song out the window. Diane lit another cigarette before the first one was gone. Doug honked like he was leading a parade. Harry leaned back, eyes on the fading light. Been a while since I smelled clay dust on a Saturday night, he muttered. Hudson filmed every pothole and every insult. Frank stayed quiet, watching the sun dip low. The others made noise. Laughing, singing, planning nachos, but Frank's mind was already circling a clay oval he'd never dared touch. The Barton County Speedway was alive before they even parked. Floodlights threw beams into the dusk. Engines snarled from the pits, coughing and cracking like caged animals. The air carried layers of grease, rubber, and fried corn dogs. Dust floated in the glow like it had been waiting all week. God bless America, Ricky said, arms wide, chest bare. Now this is church. Hudson swung his camera to catch him. Live from the Speedway, shirtless patriot loses his mind. The gravel crunched under their boots as they walked past tailgates turned into cookouts. Kids waved glow sticks. Families carried fold-up chairs. Men in ball caps argued over which driver was due tonight. They climbed into the bleachers halfway up. Diane plopped down, immediately fanning herself with a bingo flyer. Lord, it's hotter than 2 hells. Frank cracked open a can. You wanted bingo, Mom? This is the same thing. Numbers, noise, people screaming. Except my bingo hall has air conditioning. Harry settled onto the bench with a sigh. Content. Air don't matter once the cars fire off. You'll forget all about sweating. Doug returned a few minutes later, arms overloaded with food, nachos, 2 hot dogs, a tub of popcorn. He tripped on the last step, sending kernels across Harry's boots. Fuel for the Warriors. Harry brushed it off with a chuckle. Seen worse in the pits. At least it ain't grease. The first heat lined up, engine sparked, the grandstand trembled. Ricky leaped up, hollering like he'd staked his paycheck. Come on, number 12. Run it like you stole it. You don't even know who's in that car, Frank muttered. Don't matter. Ricky grinned, beer spilling. It's the spirit. Doug hollered too, mouth full. Turn left, faster. Turn left again. Hudson whispered into his mic. Expert analysis from Doug. Truly groundbreaking. Diane frowned at her cup. This beer's watered down. Half seltzer. Harry smirked, eyes still locked on the track. Give it a minute, dust'll fix it. The bleachers shook as the cars thundered past. Clay spitting high. Kids plugged their ears. Grown men stomped their boots. The announcer rattled off sponsors so fast, nobody understood him. Harry leaned toward Frank when a slide job lit up the front stretch. "That's the move right there," he said with a nod. Hudson filmed it all, turning the mess into legend. "This just in, Papa says dust makes beer stronger, Mamaw demands refunds, shirtless uncle believes in miracles." Everyone laughed, even Frank. But when the cars blurred under the lights, his smile slipped. His eyes stayed locked, his chest pulled tight. To them, it was entertainment. To him, it was something else. The feature race rolled out, 20 cars in a staggered line, engines steamed, lights blazed down, the crowd surged to its feet. Ricky swung his shirt overhead. Doug hollered nonsense advice. Diane muttered about the announcer's voice. Frank stayed seated. The green flag waved. The track erupted, engines screamed. Clay flew. The grandstand shook like thunder had crawled inside it. Frank felt it in his chest. Each lap wasn't just sound, it was a call. He wasn't watching anymore, he was in it. Helmet tight, wheel hot under his hands, pedal heavy, chasing the flag. The county roared behind him. His throat tightened. A bead slid down his cheek. "Brother," Ricky leaned over, beer sloshing. "You crying or just sweating hard?" Frank blinked, wiped his face quick. "Dust," he muttered. "Track's dusty." Harry didn't look away from the race. His voice was low, steady. "Dreams don't rot. They just wait." Frank turned. Harry's eyes stayed on the track. "Nothing wrong with loving this, son," he added softly. "Some of us are happy in the stands. Some of us got it in their bones." Frank said nothing. His eyes stayed locked on the cars, colors blurring under the lights. The ache swelled sharp and alive, but he let it sit in silence. The checkered waved. The winner spun donuts, smoke curling, the crowd exploding with cheers. Frank clapped with the rest, but his silence said more than words. The crowd spilled out in waves of dust and chatter. Cars idled in the gravel lot, headlights cutting through haze. Ricky waved like he was mayor. Diane lit another cigarette. Doug carried the empty nacho tray like it was sacred. Harry walked steady, jar in hand. Frank lingered at the gate, looking back one last time. Haulers rumbled out, the lights still blazing against the dark. The smell of rubber hung thick. He let it fill him, then turned to follow. The truck ride started loud. Ricky half singing, Doug honking at random, Diane griping about beer prices but laughing between drags. Hudson kept the camera rolling, whispering his closing credits commentary. Shirtless Patriot survives dust storm. Mamaw breaks record for most complaints. Papa remains undefeated at silence. Harry chuckled. "Best part about the track ain't leaving it," he said. "Quiet now. It's knowing it'll be there next Saturday." The highway stretched dark. Town lights faded into empty fields. Ricky snored against the window. Doug hummed tunelessly. Diane leaned back with her smoke curling out the crack in the glass. Frank sat in the middle row, cooler, empty at his feet, eyes on the dark road ahead. The engine still rang in his ears. Harry caught him staring, nudged the jar his way. Frank took a sip, handed it back. No words. Hudson aimed the camera one last time, his voice soft, almost reverent. One track, one dream, one family, louder than the engines. This was life at Frank's place.